All right, we're here with Mark White of the News Journal. And Mark, we appreciate you taking some time to talk with us about the topic of working with the media. Tell us a little bit about the News Journal and the whole operation of the weekly paper.
Well, we're a weekly publication. We come out once a week on Wednesday. We've been in existence for a little over 100 years now, which is somewhat significant in this day and age when you see papers kind of folding right and left due to the economy. We've got about 10 employees, I'd estimate, 2 down here in the office in Waynesburg, me and our office manager, Joyce Morgan. Then we have a couple of sales reps and our publisher in Corbin, about 3 production people, our sports editor, we have a reporter in Corbin, a couple of them actually.
And the News Journal is a descendant of what some of the old-timers refer to as the Whitley Republican.
Yeah, the Whitley Republican, the Whitley Whiz.
Right.
We answer to a little bit of everything.
You know, most of our students in this particular class are teachers in Kentucky. We have a few out-of-state students, but most of them live in communities where weekly papers are in existence. And what I've found, and I'm sure what some of them have found, is that working with a weekly paper is a little easier in terms of getting media coverage. And why don't you just tell us a little bit about your experience working with local schools, the public schools, the University of the Cumberlands, and how you work together with them to get coverage?
Well, actually, it's pretty easy to work with the local schools and stuff. Whitley County School System has a PR person. Cumberland has Daphne Baird, I believe, who's still over there. But so Cumberland routinely, or Cumberland's as it is now, routinely sends out press releases on this and that. I'll get calls from Daphne about things here and there going on, events and stuff. The school system, I may get a call from the PR person or superintendent, principals, various teachers, whatnot, about things going on. It's helpful if you can kind of call maybe a week or 2 ahead of time to let us know about stuff. And Thursday afternoons, Fridays are kind of typically good times to try to get out and cover more feature-y kind of things. They tend to be slower days, don't usually have court going on or as many meetings as it were.
Yeah, we had an interview with Debbie Frazier of the Whitley County system, and she spoke of working with the local papers and communicating with you. But one of the things I know in working with some of the clubs and organizations that I work with, and also with the school, it's helpful if sometimes we can actually do some of the photography and do some of the writing for you. Is that correct?
That's very helpful, actually. A lot of times there's events where we usually have limited staffs, and I may have, I think last week I had 12 stories I wrote, plus some other things I wrote for the website, in addition to doing stats and typing in inspections and stuff. So, I mean, anytime you all can, write up something, in a picture and send it to us and stuff, we'll usually try to get it in. Our people section is largely made up of submitted stuff, so we can usually find room for it. Sometimes it'll get in right away. Sometimes it may take a few weeks, just depending on what's going on. For instance, everybody usually sends in honor rolls about the same time, at the end of the 9 weeks. So sometimes there's, you get a backlog of things.
One of the things we've talked about, and we will be talking about, is crisis communication.
Mm-hmm.
And many times on our campuses, we have situations that develop that are newsworthy.
Mm-hmm.
And what would be your suggestion to a school or a campus, a university, as to how we might better work with you in this crisis situation?
If you can, designate somebody that's a spokesperson and someone we can get a hold of, and how we can get a hold of them, whatnot, that certainly helps quite a bit. A lot of times what you'll get into is you call up one person, or they're not really sure, they'll refer you to somebody else, and it kind of flows around. I call it the Frankfurt Shuffle.
That's a good description.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about the importance of having a single voice, and if you've observed, and I know you have, being in the business that you're in, when we have an unfortunate situation, let's say the Virginia Tech incident, that's channeled through one person, and it certainly makes the flow of information more accurate.
Yeah.
And it's like and I don't want to take an adverse or adversarial role with you here, but we want to provide the right information when we have this kind of thing, but we also want to provide it in the best possible light. And working together, what I've found with the media, working together and developing the kind of trust where you know that what we're giving you is the straight stuff, that kind of eliminates the need for you to find your own information.
Yeah, I was going to say probably my best advice would be anybody doing PR, just tell the truth. It usually helps out a lot, and simplifies things, and being straightforward. Here's what we have. It's unfortunate. Here's what we're trying to do to correct it. Kind of thing certainly helps.
Well, I know you want to tell the straight story, and that's the best way to do it. I'd like to just make one comment here. We've had a lot of dealings over the years, and I have always felt and always told you that I felt that you give us a good shot. You certainly never take a cheap shot that I've seen in terms of your coverage of any kind of an event, and I for one really appreciate that. And I think most of our folks here who are watching this would probably just say, what can I do to establish that kind of relationship with the folks in my community that we can work together, and I don't have to worry about what's going to show up in the paper.
Yeah.
What would be the advice you'd give them to develop those kind of relationships?
Develop a repertoire with people. If you have something positive or whatever going on, or something might be newsworthy, maybe drop them a line and stuff. Kind of open lines of communication help, because if you deal with people on a regular basis. But there's a lot of good news going on out there in our schools, universities, and stuff. It's just sometimes it's a little harder to come by, or people maybe assume you already know about it or whatnot. So
one of the things I've noticed in the Whitley County system is their publication of a regular tabloid type publication that I think they used to distribute it as an insert, but now they send it out to all everyone who has a post office box in the county. As a newspaper person, looking at that particular piece, what would you say about it?
Looks to be a pretty good publication. I've looked at it a few times. I think it's probably a good thing for school systems to do. Kind of promote a lot of the stuff you have going on, and sometimes we may be limited in the amount of stuff we can get in there. There's just, for instance, I think there's probably between the three, we've got 3 school systems inside Whitley County, 2 other schools just outside, Lane Camp and Jellicoe. Then you have some Laurel County elementary schools, so there's just a lot of things, kind of competing for coverage and whatnot, but I would say it'd be a good thing to do.
Well, it's obvious that here in our own county, the Whitley County system has put some resources into their media relations, into their positive presentation of the school system, and of course those publications are devoted to the good things, and that's what their mission is, to tell about the good things. Well, Mark, I want to tell you, I have really appreciated the opportunity to talk to you, and I know that our students in this course, this is ADMOL 635, School and Community Relations, will gain a lot. And I would encourage them to go out and establish rapport with their local folks. We get a lot of good coverage in the weekly paper here, and that's really the paper that I read most often because I feel like it gives a good representation of the community. And I know a lot of people who live away from here subscribe to it and keep their subscriptions up so they can keep up on what's going on in their hometown.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Glad to do it.